So I was able to free it up, and what I did is I slid this on here and just used two crescent wrenches, and I was able to spin this off like that. So I got it loose. I'm going to take it off. Remember, left-handed threads. And then this should just pull straight off. Okay, and now we have our needle bearing. Whoop, it's inside of here. So our needle bearing come out, and there's our needle bearing. As you can see, there's a couple missing, and they were broken when I first tore this apart. So to inspect the oiler, what you got to do is just take this plastic part and just spin it, and you want to spin it this clockwise direction, and it'll come out. And that's all it is. It's just plastic. It's driven by these two notches up top here, and the screw just turns your oiler. Okay, so next we're going to pull this plate off, and it's held on by this screw here. So we're going to take that screw out, pull this plate off, and there we have our oiler. And that's all it does, is it spins while the motor's spinning. And what happened with mine here, this hose just pulls out, and what happened is just some debris in there. So I went ahead and blew everything out, cleaned it out all good, and it just slides on. And I'm hoping that the mixture of debris and the bearing may be causing my issue. As you can see, this is the old screw drive that runs that oiler. You see how worn down this top is. It doesn't appear it was slipping too bad. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to change it out. They weren't that expensive. So we inspected everything. Everything seems to be working. The oiler's got oil up in here, and I manually spin this here, so it's working. And there's also an adjustment on it. The adjustment, if you follow it right down here, there's the adjustment. It's on the bottom side. And there's a screw adjustment, and it says right here, that if you want to increase oil, you go counterclockwise, and if you want to decrease oil, you go clockwise. So I made sure it's all the way open. It's at its max. We run a 24-inch blade, so we want to make sure that we're getting sufficient oil. Okay, so since everything was good, I went ahead and I installed the plate and put the screw back in. And now we're going to install this is the new one. It's got a little bit of grease on it. And you just turn it so it fits down in there. There, it's down all the way. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to put on the needle bearing. Before we do that, we're going to go ahead and spray the shaft with white lithium grease. After we shake it up really good.
Okay, so we sprayed the shaft down. Now we're going to take the new needle bearing and we're going to go ahead and just put it on the shaft, and then we're going to go ahead and spray the outside of that needle bearing down. Okay, so we have some overspray going on, so we're going to go ahead and clean that up as best as possible. And so that's cleaned up. Now we also sprayed inside our clutch drum, and the way that's going to fit on there is, you see these two little notches. They're going to connect right there to that plastic there to drive the oil pump. So you just want to get them on as best as possible and line it up. Now that that's on, we're going to put the clutch on. And the clutch, the writing goes on the outside. And remember, it's left-handed thread. Okay, so I got a hand tight right now. We'll inspect to make sure that gear is in there all the way. It looks good. And now what we have to do is we're going to have to pull this rope back out. And after we pull that rope out, we're going to have to remove the recoil and hold on to it that way to tighten it. If you try to tighten this with this rope in here, it's just going to get stuck in there. So after removing the rope, just pull it a couple times, make sure everything's free. Should be good. And next we're going to take this off so that we can tighten the clutch. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the new plug in, and after that I will take the recoil off. So before we tighten this clutch up, I'm going to add a little blue thread locker. I'm going to put it on the threads and do that just for a safety measure, since it is left-handed threads. So this motor spins the way this comes off. So if that's the way it's going to be, then I'm going to put some thread locker on it. Okay, I applied the thread lock and I put the clutch back on. Next we're going to go ahead and take off our recoil by removing these 4 bolts here. Okay, so we got the 4 bolts out, and now this will just come off straight. And it's pretty dirty in there, so we're going to definitely clean that. And then I also got some chips in there. So the plan is we're going to hold on to this nut while we tighten the clutch. Okay, so we got everything clean, ready to go, and went to tighten up the clutch. It turns out this wrench they gave you, it fits the nut pretty good. And what happened was I ended up just loosening this nut here. So what I had to do is I had to go back to the rope trick and put the rope in the cylinder, and I just made sure that when I did that, the cylinder was at it was on its way up, and it was about a quarter way into its stroke, and then I went ahead and I put the rope back in, and I retightened both nuts, this nut and the clutch. Now the clutch, I used the double crescent wrench, a way of doing that, and I just stuck that in there and put this over that, and I was able to tighten everything up. Now I'm going to go ahead and reassemble everything and give it a shot. Okay, so now that I reassembled everything, just the covers and the recoil, I took it outside and I ran it for a little while, maybe about a good minute and a half. As you can see, there's lots of oil in there. It's running down, so it's actually working a lot better than before. And clutch seems to be fine. This is the old clutch. I did not replace it yet, but it does have signs of wear, and I am prepared next time, so I don't have to wait 7 days to get this repaired. Okay, so now I'm going to put the bar back on and my adjustment cover and brake, and we're all set. We're ready to start cutting wood. Well, thanks for watching. Hope this helps you.